I know I'm going long. Ask me about the report from the F-15 pilot that was shot down, who said as he was coming down in his silk, there were hundreds of Iranian drones flying in a swarm that had created, he called it, an aerial minefield. We aren't prepared
Yeah,
for that, but Trump
like a
is
jelly,
spending
like a
this money like he's
jellyfish. He says
like a
like a
jellyfish.
jellyfish and real alien shit. That's how he described it.
Holy cow. We are
So what is it? What
spending
does he
money.
mean? What is it? Can you explain it for the audience? What's that
Yes.
about?
Okay. See this computer keyboard? I want you to imagine that every one of these keys are independent and are their own drone. Floating. Okay, you guys have seen drone fireworks displays, right? You're in the UAE. This is where they bring up drones and they can put up a picture of like George Washington or Sheikh Zayed. They'll have 400 drones in the air in a grid holding a pattern, changing colors according to a computer program. Iran apparently took this very simple technology that we use for light shows and put explosives on them and had them flying around in swarms in what the F-15 pilot saw as he was coming down. And what he meant, real alien shit. You've seen this before. What was the name of the movie where they had that? Oh, The Matrix. The Matrix Reloaded, where the drones had bored through to the underground city and they were flying in swarms. That is what we call
I
drone
know which
swarm
one. I know
tech.
which scene.
That's
Yeah.
what we call drone swarm tech. We have been trying to get to this point. United States Navy, one drone. The fucking Triton drone that costs almost $1 billion. When I was in Desert Storm, we had the Israeli Pioneer drone on our battleship. We could use it for targeting and stuff. What if they put up 50? What if they put up 100? They didn't. The Iranians apparently, what I say about younger guys being put in charge of defense forces. Somebody in the IRGC said we could fly drones in a pattern like a light show, put a 1/4 pound of plastic explosive on them, put them up to go up to high altitude, 20,000 feet, stagger them out 100 feet at a time, and something is eventually going to fly into it like a giant explosive fishing net in the sky. This guy described it that it was these drones had big drones on the top, smaller drones down in the bottom, and that it was a minefield of drones.
That's
This
great.
isn't anybody. This guy got shot down and had plenty of time on his parachute to see it. Loitering munitions up above, hunter-killer drones down below. He said that it's some alien shit. No, it's not alien shit. America killed all the senior fucking leadership of the IRGC. You left a 58-year-old guy in charge of the country, and now the young 45-year-old guys, right? Yeah, we're going to see that. These young 40, this one's from Iron Man.
No, it's the wrong. Hold on. That's the wrong clip. I think that's the wrong clip, Lisa. Let me see if I sent you the right one.
Yeah. So the point is, young guys were like, hey, how would you guys like an aerial minefield? I fucking love that idea. I love it. But how do you defeat that? How do you defeat 300, 400, 500 drones flying in space in air in a mesh? You can't. You got to kill the drone controller. But you got to get there first, right? Maybe this is what shot down the 30 ARC MQ-9 and MQ-1 Reaper drones that we had up there.
They're just drones floating around waiting for a fighter jet or from Reaper drone, and then
put into a pattern, right, through a known corridor, and it'd be like flying into shotgun shell bullets, right? Shotgun shell BBs that are hovering in space. I mean, it's brilliant if you think about it. And by the way, this shit ain't conspiracy theory. That is hardcore intelligence. That guy gave us something we really need to pay attention to. But you know what? Lockheed Martin will go out and say, if y'all give me $5 billion, we'll come out and do it. We'll come out and develop something in a decade. Is this it? That's it. Yeah, there's the automatic guns going against the swarm of drones that is now spiraling down back to back. I love that scene.
That could
Because
be, but that could be, and give it 20 years. I wouldn't even say 20 years, but that could be close to reality
what, the guns
very
or the
soon, actually.
drones?
The drones, the
No,
swarms,
no, no, no,
that level of
not 20
technology.
years. They're saying they were there. This guy got shot down, and he believes they may have flown into it. I saw the video of his shoot down, which came off a thermal imager that the Iranians are tracking. So maybe, you don't. By the way, we have this phrase in aviation called FOD, F-O-D, foreign object damage. A swarm of ducks that you run into is called FOD. And it will go into your engine and cut the power in your engine, like what happened on the flight over the Hudson. That's called FODing your engine. Any debris, rocks, hail, heavy stones, anything can get in there. If you have a wall of drones, you're FODing that aircraft. But you might be FODing it by it flying through the windscreen and killing your pilot, right? It's not 20-year tech. It's here now. Apparently, Iran is upgraded, and we don't fucking know what to make of it. And how would you detect it? You wouldn't. All they have to do is lay down 500 drones on a football field, right? A bunch of IRGC kids, 15, 17 years old, and have an integrated drone controller with a signal you haven't detected. And it's in the middle of Iran. I'm a little surprised that the Iranians have kept that secret. But there's an eyewitness now who saw it, a guy who drives F-15Es and had to land on the hard ground and wait for his ass to get rescued to do an intelligence debrief to go, dudes, they got fucking swarms of drones. I would be taking it top priority for Malcolm Nance, right? I would like, stop everything. I want every damn thing we got over there. Put gold bars on the table and get somebody out there to tell me where these drones are operating and get me a video of it.
Could they be
Or
doing
get me
that, or highly unlikely?
that they can do that? Yeah, so long as you
No,
have
that
gold.
they are doing it right now.
That the Iranians are doing it? I believe it. I
No,
believe that
the
report.
Americans, you said what you would recommend for the Americans, for them to put
Nah,
everything down
Americans
and
aren't going to
focus on
do it
that.
because here's why, okay? Americans aren't going to do it because a lot of good people in the intelligence community, that at Defense Intelligence Agency, right? That's their job. And guys at DARPA, right? Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. These people are being gutted. Anyone who is not a loyalist, right, who is not 120% one with MAGA, they're kicking them out. So a guy who would be like me, who come up and go, yo, did you guys see this? Did you see this intel sit rep that we got? We have a debrief from that pilot. He said fucking Terminators are running up there, HKs, in squadrons of 100, 200. And they all go, oh, that's bullshit. He was drunk. He had ejection seat drunkenness. Not me. I believe shit because I've seen them swarm small boats and it works. I've seen them swarm Shahed drones. 3,000 were fired at the United Arab Emirates. I believe them. So if you don't think next year, I want you to imagine that there are not 2,000 Shahed drones fired at Emirates Palace, that a Dow comes out and they use the Ukrainian tactic that they use destroying air bases. And you have a Dow that has been going back and forth between Dubai Creek and Bandar Abbas for 20 years. The IRGC takes it and they fill it with 500 fucking drones. It comes into the UAE waters, goes to Dubai Creek in the middle of a crisis. The hatch comes off, and like the Ukrainians did, 500 swarming drones take off, and their job is to blast every fucking window in the Burj Khalifa on video.
That was a wild operation that happened in Ukraine that day.
Yeah,
What, 6 months
I
ago?
know.
How long ago was it?
It was a year ago, wasn't it?
What was your reaction when you first saw it?
I was like, brilliant. Cyber Command in Ukraine. These guys, first off, the intelligence tradecraft. I worked for GUR for my first 3 months. I was there to do what we call Ukrainian defense intelligence. That's their version of, it's a hybrid of CIA and DIA. Budanov, Kirill Budanov runs it. So the first 3 months we had an international legion element that was paramilitary commandos. And I was part of the dirty tricks department. And one thing they did was they didn't let me near anything human intelligence. They were like, yeah. Why don't you just stay over there? Their human intelligence in Russia is world class. Ukraine and Russia were together under the Soviet Union as one nation. Grandmothers, grandfathers, granduncles, all these people still live in Russia. Ukrainians who speak Russian are everywhere. So what they do is their tradecraft of penetrating Russia comes from people who were part of Russia. So they know what are Russians like the most: money, watches, liquor. Oh my God, Russia and alcohol. Someday I'll tell you my story about the 5,000 bottles we found on a Russian headquarters base. Hard liquor, not even beer. These guys were drunk all the time. Ukrainians know that. So their stay behinds, their ability to go behind Russians' lines, send agents into Russia to create a logistical pipeline where they used Russian companies to buy drone parts, assemble these drones, create these self-starting drone launching systems, and then got Russian truck drivers to drive them next to Russian air bases and wait for the contract. They didn't know what was in those trucks. It's just a truck. And then those tops pop off and all those drones fly, and the drones were trained to hunt down two types of bomber: the Tu-22M backfire bomber, the dread of the Cold War, right? Used to carry these giant anti-ship missiles, and the ancient Tu-95 Tupolev Bear bomber. Things just blew up everything. 40 Russian strategic aircraft destroyed. Now, I want you to imagine that with 500 drones attacking every airbase in the UAE while you're looking with Patriots and Shaheeds. And that's not what's coming in the next war. When is that next war? That could be a month from now. That could be 6 months from now. Iran has, I believe this one, and people are going to say, hey, yo, that's one intel report. Yeah, that's one intel report from somebody who was fucking shot down. Okay? We don't know what hit his engine. We don't have that aircraft. And the Iranians are, by the way, the Iranians are going to put that airplane on display. They always do that, right? It's like when I went to Syria, they had all their Israeli aircraft shot down from the 73 war as a museum. So someday we're going to figure out what happened there. There's a debrief, and that guy's going to be going, we were flying along, and suddenly the rear engine exploded. Well, I saw the thermal image. It looked like they got hit by a surface-to-air missile. But what if we find out both engines exploded because they flew through an aerial minefield and it went into the engines?
That would be crazy.
It'll be worse than crazy. There's no defense against it. Fly higher.
Do you know I was actually in Ukraine, because you mentioned Budanov. I was actually in Ukraine for 2 weeks. I had an interview scheduled with Budanov, and then it was rescheduled and then rescheduled for that was a while ago, 2 years ago, probably 2 years ago now, for security purposes. The security around him is just fucking tight as hell. Didn't happen because of security, and there was a prisoner swap at the time.
Yeah.
But he's probably right after Zelensky. He's probably one of the most protected people in Ukraine.
They want Budanov's head, and they want the head of Cyber Command, of cyber warfare. They want their heads.
I'd say Budanov would be on top of their list. Would you
agree? Yeah. They tried to get him. First off, Budanov's a badass. Okay? Budanov was a commando from 2014 to 2020. He ran the Gur paramilitary forces. He's street cred. Okay, he's got bodies. That guy's got stacks on his ass. He has definitely got bodies on him. There's videos of him where they went out and raided Russian oil platforms and did all sorts of stuff. He was a shooter, but he is a thinker, and he is the first person to adapt very clever tactics and to rapidly scale those up and to carry them out. That's what makes him even more dangerous. And now that cyber warfare, drone warfare is its own separate autonomous command, and a third of the Ukrainian army is just training to be drone operators.
It's crazy.
That's their job. They're not savaging them. Oh, by the way, Mario, next time you go to Ukraine, just call me. I will bring your ass over. We'll go meet Kirill, and I'll take you out to the Kharkiv front line, and you can hang with my guys.
It was being discussed about going to the front line there. We ended up not doing it. I went
Yeah,
to
you got to
other
go. You
areas,
got to
but
go
not
to
to
the
the front.
zero line. One,
I know
because it's murderously dangerous. Two,
exactly. That's
you
why I
need to
think
understand.
that's why I didn't go.
You need to understand what murder. I mean, when I was there, we didn't have drone nets up because drones were for surveillance and they were dropping bombs. Now drones are the new artillery. It's completely
Yeah.
supplanted artillery.
And not only this, when I was in Ukraine, my car, as I was going around Ukraine, Kiev, was a big, because we had to drive from Poland to Kiev. And it was
Yeah.
a massive van, as in a van that fits 8 people with beds, etc. Very high.
Well,
It's
like
like
a Mercedes
almost like an
Sprinter.
office. A bit, yeah, a Sprinter, but like the most modern Sprinters. Like it's a beautiful car. But it's such a big car that, like Mario, you know, if you go to Kiev, to Kharkiv, you have to go in one of those random Toyotas or whatever, old cars, like a normal
Yeah,
person.
of course.
Because if you go in that van, you'd be picked off instantly.
Oh shit, yeah. Oh yeah. And that's why, by the way, in Ukraine, nobody wears press badges. That's now a drone target for the Russians.
Really?
If they see white press or TV, they'll come at your ass.
I never
So
thought Ukrainians and Russians are targeting press.
the Ukrainians aren't, never. But the Russians, they target little old ladies for practice down in Kherson. They killed a couple just 2 weeks ago. They killed a couple walking their dogs because what they do, they send their drone operators, their new operators to the south to get experience. Ken Harbaugh, who you should have on, did a documentary, and so did Kalen. What's his name? I can't remember his name, but they did a documentary on the human hunters of Kherson, and it's about the Russian drone operators.
The Ken Harbaugh, the pilot.
Yeah, former Navy pilot. He's gone down there. He's witnessed all of this. And they're human hunters. And they don't care who the human is. Their job is to send up training drones with bombs on them and to kill people in Kherson. So they generally kill people walking their dogs, women, and children. And you know what? Jihad. You want to hear jihad? The Ukrainians, job number one in Kherson is to hunt down the drone operators. They get it good. Right? If they find your headquarters, the Ukrainians are using F-15 or F-16